get started. Hello and welcome. My name is Sally Deckard, and I am a faculty support and classroom consultant in the Faculty Affairs Department at UAGC, and I will be the host of this session. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we have enabled live transcription. If you would like to use it, click the live transcription button at the bottom of your Zoom window. And now I'm very pleased to introduce to you Dr. Connie Lauer, Assistant Professor of UAGC in the Academic Engagement Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally and Andre, our technician. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for your interest in research and for attending this presentation today. TLC has become an annual conference of renown, and my research team is pleased to be a part of it. We want to thank UAGC for supporting our research and having an interest in the outcome. I am Dr. Connie Lauer, an instructor for entry point classes in the Academic Engagement Center. I focus on ASH 101, developing skills and strategies for success. This will become Gen 101 in the new year. Dr. Wendy Conaway, the lead for Gen 102, Digital Literacy for Life in the Workplace, and Dr. Stephanie Lassiter, a core faculty for Gen 103, Information Literacy, and myself worked together on a research project titled Achieving a Sense of Belonging and Self-Efficacy, grouping students in a 3-course online entry point cohort. From the title, you can glean that this research was carried out with entry point students who were grouped together for their first 3 classes and taught using instructional practices focused on achieving a sense of belonging and a development of confidence and self-determination. Sally is going to monitor the chat today, and so any questions or comments we can cover at the end of the presentation. In entry point classes, introductions often read like this, which is from an actual student. It is nice to meet you, Mrs. Lauer. I am excited and nervous at the same time to be back in college. I attended a few years ago with a school that has closed down, but due to family issues, my kids were more important than school. I look forward to gaining all the knowledge that will help me in my journey. Excited and nervous are the descriptors we hear constantly. By the end of the 5 weeks of the class, there is still some nervousness and the excitement might be tempered a little bit. However, at the finish line in ASH 101, students often note that they hope they will see their newly formed acquaintances in the courses ahead. Experiencing this, our goal, our why, was to form a class of students who would stay with each other through the first 3 courses of their general education experience for the purpose of providing support and being exposed to an instructor-driven community of learning, hopefully improving perseverance and success. This opening comes with a spoiler alert. Our plans did not play out as we would have wished, but with every research initiative, there's something to learn. There's always a few nuggets we can use to further our intentions to give students a great education experience, but just a few is worth the effort. We are pleased at this time to announce that the information gained from this cohort experience did contribute to and inform the formation of another cohort pilot with Gen 103, Information Literacy, and Gen 104, College Reading Strategies, which will begin at the start of 2023. So we propose forming a cohort of 25 to 30 L30 students, which means they are entering the university with under 30 previous credits. Those students would progress with each other through their first 3 entry point general education classes. ASH 101 instructed by myself, Gen 103 instructed by Steph, and Gen 102 instructed by Wendy. We partnered with Zobio enrollment personnel to create a random group of L30 students who were then pre-scheduled together into the 3 courses. Instructor-student engagement and activities would have as a foundation the attributes of the power of one, which is now culture of care, and the principles of George Koo's HIP, or High Impact Practices Program, which focuses on students and instructors working together, supporting one another, and communicating in the structure of learning communities. The intentions in conducting this research were to develop support, accountability, engagement, and teamwork in a cohort of students working together for 15 weeks, utilize the power of one culture of care principles in showing care and compassion for student challenges, providing flexibility when challenges arose for students, offer assignment extensions and revisions when it would help a student succeed, practice student engagement, which would contribute to student belonging and mattering, such as student study hours, synchronous meetups, and partnering with another student. Strayhorn told us that mattering is relevant and applicable to all contexts, specifically within the abstract world of online teaching and learning. Mattering is the extent to which a student perceives himself to be valued as an individual and that others care about his well-being and success. The impact of mattering in any learning modality has far-reaching effects on a student's self-esteem and efficacy. The 3 instructors recorded a video, which we placed in the first course, ASH 101, setting an optimistic tone with foundational information we felt was an important first encounter with the students, and we're going to try to play that. It appears that there is no voice. And this did work.
Connie, did you enable your when you logged into Zoom to be able to share your sound from your computer, or someone else share?
Okay, actually, Wendy is doing that.
Okay, that might be the issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think when you share your screen, there's an option there to also share audio.
Oh,
There's a
Wendy,
little
do you want to go back and try that?
Yeah, a little button in the bottom left-hand corner, I believe.
This is an interesting technological aside that we'll figure out. What do you think, Wendy? No?
I don't think,
Okay.
I don't have an option when I'm sharing. I looked at the
Okay.
lower left and it's not there.
Well, wait,
Okay.
Wendy, here's what I think you need to do. I think you need to go to the Zoom window and click screen share and stop sharing, and then go back through the process again and start sharing again. And that's where the window will be. You're gonna have to stop sharing and then share again.
Okay, I'm stopped sharing.
Yeah, let's try it now. If not, I'll mine it out.
Hold on. All right, just a second. I'm going to share my screen again.
Well, let me just explain. We have 3 lovely ladies here explaining to their students what this was about. It had music in the background, And we have visuals, and it was very nice. So thank you for putting up with us while we see if we could get it to work. So putting that all together, the question was that we wanted to investigate and answer was whether placing students in a 3-course cohort and providing support through the attributes of a learning community and culture of care principles would provide them with a stable, familiar group for 15 weeks at the beginning of their college journey, thereby increasing the motivation, active achievement, and determination to persevere. So this is the story of our cohort experience. And as you listen to this, the impact of NCLEs, which are non-college life events, will become more clear. Those NCLEs have strong ramifications for students in entry point courses. The roster on the Friday before class started contained 42 names. 37 were part of the cohort, and 5 others were added by enrollment as associate degree students. The weekend before class began, I made phone calls to all 37 students in the cohort to welcome them to class and explain the plan. Many of the phone calls were left as voice messages. However, I was able to talk with some. By day 4, 23 of the cohort students had posted introductions. I sent a signals message to those who had not appeared. By the end of the first week, Tuesday morning, only 15 of the cohort students had posted the week 1 discussion. The 8 who posted introductions but did not submit discussions were emailed and called. One of the 8 responded and said a serious family emergency had developed and she was dropping out. 7 others did not respond. So during the first week, the student enrollment in the cohort had decreased from a potential 37 to an actual 15. In ASH 101, we do expect a certain degree of attrition. However, the loss of this number of students was rather unusual. During the first week, the students were encouraged to use the Global Campus Cafe feature in Canvas to talk with each other, provide support, and share strategies for navigating their first college class, along with offering tips for integrating schoolwork with life responsibilities. An initial icebreaker was posted to bring everybody into the cafe. 2 students did express interest in forming a study group and did try to get one going with the rest of the class, using the cafe as a meeting place. And they themselves encouraged other students to participate. However, the idea really didn't catch on. The second week, live student study hours were begun in the evening. Encouragement and a link were sent on the day of the session as a reminder. However, there were no students that appeared that evening. We did emphasize the opportunity for late submissions and revisions of tasks and announcements to assure everyone they could achieve a passing grade. So if they read the announcements, they knew that was a good possibility. We were ready to give them. At day 6 of week 2, 2 more students had dropped and 3 students had DEF averages, which did not allow them to pass BAR, which is the basic academic requirements for ASH 101. Those students with DEF averages were emailed, and I called them on the weekend, and they assured me they would try to submit their work by Sunday evening, but they did not. On day 7 of week 3, we had 10 students who had passed BAR, but only 9 of those posted week 3 discussions. We discussed whether to continue the study or not, as the number of students was now far afield from where we wanted a cohort to be. It was decided to keep those 9 together through Gen 103 and Gen 102. However, for financial expediency and for the university, more non-cohort students were added to the roster of Gen 103, which was the second class. Of the 9 students enrolled in Gen 103, only 6 cohort students matriculated to Gen 102. In all cases, we did attempt to contact students who were no longer with us to inquire about their challenges. However, we generated very little feedback. Students with less than 30 credits are often testing the waters of college responsibilities. Most of them have families and jobs. As they discover the difficulty of doing everything, they change their minds about the work, regardless of the resources we have provided them to succeed. As this was considered a qualitative study, data concerning student interaction and engagement was collected and placed on an Excel spreadsheet. We kept a lot of data and we made huge efforts to stay in contact with these students. Signals data was used to determine interventions needed using university resources to provide additional support. We determined that we would speak with each of the 6 students completing Gen 102, the 3rd class, about their experience of taking their first 3 courses with familiar peers. We formulated interview questions to ask all 6 students. We made an extensive effort to contact all 6 for interviews, with 3 agreeing to talk with us. So the similarities in all 3 student responses were they complemented the onboarding experience from enrollment advisors. They really appreciated the effort that enrollment advisors made to keep them updated, informed, and to offer advice and assistance. They were pleased with the encouragement and assistance from academic advisors. They had a lot of good things to say about the advising department. They felt the support they received from family and friends was a factor in their success. And I strongly believe that that type of backup really changes the college situation for those students who have it. They were impressed with the resources provided at UAGC. They affirmed that their questions were answered and needs were met by advisors and instructors. Their personal growth at the end of the 3 courses included improved self-esteem and self-regulation. They all mentioned that time management was a significant challenge throughout all 3 classes. And this is something I think we need to focus on to help our students understand how to schedule and arrange their lives to include college with everything else they have. Seems to be one of the priority challenges for them. 2 out of the 3 felt there were advantages in being in a cohort and feeling comfortable with and receiving support from students they knew. 1 was neutral concerning the advantages and disadvantages. 2 out of the 3 encouraged and applauded a high level of instructor engagement with students. The 3rd student, again, was neutral. And we realized that the responses of 3 students have little significance in directing any actions to be taken. Future research with a cohort of students might be better served by using students who enroll with more than 30 previous credits and have a stronger commitment to persevere. Many of our ASH 101 students have only a vague idea of college responsibilities when they enroll. And the new course we are revising gives them a much better understanding of these responsibilities in the first 2 weeks. So we are hoping making some changes in our course will help with at least the results of this study. Establishing the importance of having accountability partners who will consistently inquire about their progress and help them stay on track throughout the first 3 courses may lead to a higher likelihood that their goals are achieved. Our experience is that those students who are financially supported through the military or employee assistance programs do have a higher rate of persistence retention as they have a goal to achieve to stay in college. Almost all entry point students, successful or not, speak to time management as a challenge. Constantly and consistently communicating with entry point students about time management strategies can keep them thinking about ways to deal with that challenge. And non-traditional adult students are not well served with rigid late policies as they are juggling many responsibilities. Promoting a policy of flexibility and acceptance for late assignment submissions and revisions will give them the motivation to persevere. And this study was actually carried out before the culture of care principles and practices were established. So this was a forerunner to those, and we definitely agreed with the changes that UAGC made in that area. Several other observations we made as we considered the success of our cohort students was that communication between instructors about specific student issues and challenges was extremely helpful in knowing what to anticipate and how to assist individual students. We realize this is not possible with the student scheduling system we use and the instruction via associate faculty. However, the three of us felt strongly that students made progress because we talked with each other about their needs. We also support instructors taking into account each student's attributes and needs. Instructor engagement should be directed specifically to student interests. Obviously, additional research is needed to establish conclusive support for using a cohort strategy with entry point students. The students in the 2 courses that are going to pilot cohorts in 2023 are further along in the Gen Ed sequence and have experienced success and are more committed to persevere. So we hope that really works and really makes a difference. On the other hand, several classes I have taught of L30 students since the research pilot had students who were committed and successful. The students were ready for school, following instructions, and dedicated to their purpose. A cohort experience would have served them well. It could have been that this particular group of students were an anomaly that just happened to be the basis for our research. So Wendy, is there anything you would like to say since you are a key participant in this research? Are you still with us?
Okay,
Wendy?
I am.
Okay.
I am still with you. It's unfortunately it's a little difficult to navigate Hoover, but yes, I think that the most valuable information that we got from this is that instructors, well, 2 things. First of all, individualized and targeted support to students who are struggling is very important. We realize the fact that had we not been as supportive and engaged as we were, we probably would have lost more students, number 1. Number 2, the ability for the instructors to pass along information and share information about the different student needs was really helpful, because we knew how to approach the students moving forward and what kind of idiosyncrasies they may have had, so that we could be prepared for them in our course. And I think those 2 things were really instrumental in observations we gained from this research.
And it wasn't as if we were giving each other any preconceived notions about what these students could and couldn't do. We were just sharing their challenges so that we could help them advance in each course. Sally, any comments or questions that you saw in the chat?
I don't see anything in the chat. Well, I see comments, and Jen Robinson, who's in here, just, I love the care team approach. And I had which I totally agree with. I had a question. It sounds like you have shifted a little bit in the characteristics of the cohort in terms of maybe inviting some who've had a little bit more experience. Are you looking at doing a similar onboarding though with them in terms of the phone calls and the well, do you look at the instructor processes as they will be similar?
I'm honestly not sure. If Jen Robinson is here, she could speak to that though, since it's her class that is starting the cohort. Are you here, Jen?
Well, if I can
is.
get my camera to work. So it's Gen 103 and Gen 104. So Becky's here as well. That's not been something we have discussed, but I do like that care team approach. So that is certainly something that we can talk about.
Are you, Jen, are you doing it with one class or more than, are you trying to cohort more than one course?
It'll be more than one. Mhm.
One of the obstacles we ran into when we were calling students is in the day and age of spam, we have a lot of more students where we would call and leave a message rather than get a hold of the student directly, because the difficulty is they don't recognize the phone number. And if they don't recognize the phone number, at least for me, I don't pick it up. So it's really up to the student as to whether or not they're going to listen to the message and then call back. So we can't even be assured that they even listened to any of the messages left.
And not pointing any fingers, honestly, but we were at the end of the Zovio control of complete control of enrollment. In fact, there was a director of Zovio enrollment who, in the middle of what we were trying to do, was released and a new director was hired. And so I'm not sure how much that impacted the specific students that we received and what we were trying to do. But I said, not really pointing any fingers, but it's possible it had something to do
Oh, it's
with
conceivable, yeah.
experience.
I have a question and comment. This is Sherry.
Hi,
How are you
Sherry.
guys doing? So I think that the people who work in the center are in a different position than people who teach other classes. You know, everybody's getting their feet wet, figuring things out. And what your story tells us, though, is that even with very concentrated efforts to do our best to help them, there are circumstances outside of our control. And I just want people to be aware of this, because if I were you all, I'd be a little bit demoralized by the process. And it's a lesson for all of us, though, that sometimes, you know, we can do, I appreciate the culture of care effort, but we need also this counter recognition that these students are leading difficult lives that sometimes are just being as nice as we can are not going to resolve. And so I just think that your story is an important one for all of us to hear for those reasons.
I know Wendy and I have all have commented frequently over the past 10 years, you know, if we could send them maid service and a chef and someone to do the laundry, then
Babysitting,
yes.
yes.
Going to work for them.
So very true, Sherry. Thank you for those comments. Okay, well, I really appreciate you attending. I didn't expect as many as we have, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of TLC, which is almost over, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Connie. And again, I will echo Connie's thanks for attending this participation, because I know if you've been watching all day, it's a long day, but lots of good stuff to think about and unpack. And I'll be excited to hear how this next, I'm so glad that the efforts are going to continue. I believe that you all will receive the opportunity via email to complete an evaluation, and I invite you to do so. And again, thank you so much for being a part and a vital part of our TLC.